Welcome, everybody, to Gentle Yoga. Thank you so much for joining me. We're coming to you from Kristen Olson's Urban Yoga Center. Visit us online at urbanyoga.org or Kristen Olson's Urban Yoga Center on Facebook to check out the rest of the class schedule and the tip jars. You can make contributions to support our Zoom classes via PayPal or Venmo or Zelle. So thanks for coming this morning. We'll start out lying down with feet together, knees apart. And if it's easier to lie down, then bring your feet together. Some people find that. If it doesn't feel good to you to have your feet together and your knees apart like this, you could rest your feet on the mat, on the floor, and let your knees lean in towards each other. Do that instead. And if you've got yoga blocks, a lot of folks like to put blocks under the outsides of their legs here to take the weight of their legs and make the posture more passive. You might just let your hands rest on the floor, or you can bring your hands to your body, to your belly to feel the movement of your breathing, to your heart to feel your heartbeat. I like one hand for each, but you can do whatever you like. And if you want, close your eyes. Bring your attention to your breathing, which is all it takes to start the process of letting your breath get slower and deeper. Observing the movements of your breath, noticing how those movements feel as your body settles into stillness and quiet. Feeling your contact with the floor. Taking in whatever other sensations are present, external things like maybe air movement or the light filtering through your eyelids, any background sounds that might be in your environment, just noting them, letting them be part of your practice, part of the space you're in. We can integrate whatever arises internally or externally. Notice what internal sensations are going on beyond the movement of your breathing. Checking in with your body, noticing how everything's feeling at the start of your practice. Making particular note of anything that's feeling out of sorts. If you detect any soreness or stiffness as you're listening into your body, make note of those things so that you can keep them in mind during practice. Taking care of yourself by skipping or modifying whatever you need to. We can each find our way to the practice that works best for us. It doesn't have to be the same for any two people. You can consider everything but the breathing optional, all the cues, suggestions. Whenever your attention wavers during class, you find your mind wandering off, gently nudge it back to this center of noticing your breathing, noticing what's going on in your body. Perhaps in addition to these shared intentions, you want to set a personal intention more specific to yourself and your practice. If so, let that finish forming in your head and take root in your heart for a few breaths. And before we begin to move around, let's take 3 deep cleansing breaths. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth with a sighing sound. If you do have your knees splayed and the soles of your feet together, let your arms help your legs come out of that position. Bring your hands to the outside of your legs. And it's sort of like closing a book. Nudge your knees up towards each other. Let the soles of your feet rest on the ground. If there were blocks there under your legs, nudge the blocks towards your toes. Knock them out of the way. Bring your knees up to your chest and hug your knees. Explore some rocking and rolling movements, massaging your back against the floor. Let your left foot down. Plant your foot, cross your right ankle above your left knee. Reach your arms out to the sides. Feel your shoulder blades press to the floor. Let your legs fall to the left and turn your head to the right. And try to keep your shoulders grounded. And let your breath wring you out in the twist for a few breaths. Slowly bring your head and your legs back up through center. Switch the cross of your legs, left ankle above right knee. Let your legs fall to the right and turn your head to the left. And nice and gently come back up to center. Uncross your legs. Bring your knees into your chest. And we'll take some full body stretches. Simple but big movement. Inhale, reach your arms and legs all the way out. Reach your fingers away from your toes. Exhale, curl up in a ball again. Hug your knees. And just go with the pace of your breathing. Use the whole inhale to open up. And use the whole exhale to bring your limbs in. And we'll start to sit up. 2 ways to get there. You might roll front to back, roll your spine along the floor. Maybe play with balancing at the top of that movement for a little core engagement. And if that doesn't feel good, you could just tip to one side, plant your hand, and push yourself up to a seat. Find your comfortable seat. Your sitting doesn't have to look like my sitting. Feel the grounding contact with the floor. Feel into the length of your spine. Think of the crown of your head reaching up towards the ceiling. Inhale, bring your heart forward. Let your head tip back. Exhale, draw your heart back. Let your head tip forward. Using the whole inhale to come forward. Using the whole exhale to go back. Rounding the spine forward and back. Feeling the movements and the breath. Maybe get a little bigger with the repetition. Each deep breath, opening some more room to move. Each bigger movement, opening some more room to breathe. And let's bring a circular movement in. So as you come forward, inhaling, go over to one side. And as you go back, exhaling, drift to the other side. And see if you can still lead with the heart, letting your head kind of float atop your spine. I think of the image of being on a moving boat with a drink in your hand. Your head is like that drink as the boat moves. Change direction at some point, make some circles the other way. If you haven't done that, it's tricky to hold a full glass on a moving boat. To some extent, similar on a train or a bus, of course, any moving thing where you might be standing. At the end of your next exhale, sit up nice and tall again. And reach your hands out to the sides, rest your fingertips on the floor, staying nice and tall, long in the spine. Inhale, reach your left arm up alongside your ear. As you exhale, reach across to the right, lean into that right hand. Feel for length from your left hip up through your left fingertips and all in between. Inhale to bring yourself upright. As you exhale, let's come into a twist. Bring your left hand to the floor behind you and your right hand over to your left leg. Press into the floor with your left hand. Inhale, lengthen up through the crown of your head. Exhale, invite your body to twist a bit more. And just check that out with each breath to see if there might be a little further to go. Always inviting, never forcing. Let yourself unwind, come back to center. Inhaling, raise your right arm up alongside your ear like you want to tap the ceiling. Exhale, reach across to the left. With an inhale, bring yourself upright. And as you exhale, come into your other twist. Right hand goes behind, left hand comes across. Inhale, let's lengthen up. Exhale, let's see about twisting some more. Working your way up from the waist. Maybe the shoulder moves some more. Maybe your head turns some more. Let yourself unwind and come back through center. And let's come up onto our hands and knees. You could tip to one side or rock forward if you like. Open your hands way up. Bring your shoulders above your wrists and your hips above your knees. Reach back with your right foot and press into the ball of your foot, sending your heel out away from your tailbone. Feel that leg get longer. Breathe length down into that leg. Maybe feel a nice opening sensation in the front of the hip. Relax the pressure on your foot and then slide it out to the side. See if you can bring it in line with your hip. Now my foot went off camera. Your foot might rest on the inside edge or it might be flat. It doesn't matter. Whatever works for you and your foot. Mine doesn't actually even do the same thing each time. We're going to explore a rocking movement here. We want to start out small because it's easy to overdo. Be mindful of sensation here on the inner thigh of the extended leg. Exhale, sit back just a little towards your left heel and inhale, glide forward. And just continue that only Gradually, maybe letting the movement grow bigger. A little goes a long way. It's a fairly complex stretch. And next time you rock forward, pause with shoulders over wrists. And we'll go a little further. Walk your hands forward. So this sort of becomes like downward facing dog in the upper body. With your hands out here, let your head come down between your arms, let your neck disengage. Walk your hands over to the left. And think of sending your left hip an inch or two towards your left heel. Press into your hands just a bit. Here, a little definitely goes a long way. Really feel that on the inner right thigh. You might also feel it in the sacrum, across the outside of the hip or the outsides of the knee. Lots of things going on here. We'll take our time to rewind everything. Walk your hands back towards center line and then back in under your shoulders. Sweep your foot back behind. Bring that knee down. And before we do with that, on the other side, let's take a few breaths of cow and cat. Inhale, bring your heart forward, let your head and tailbone go up. Exhale, bring your heart up, let your head and tailbone come down. As you do a couple more of those, I spin around. So I have room to move my leg. In this setup we got going on in the studio. So when you're ready, reach back with your left foot, press it into the ground. Feel the heel move away from the tailbone. Ease off the pressure on your foot. Slide it out to the side, bring it in line with your hip. And gently, starting small, exhale, sit back. Inhale, come forward. Each side will be different. Maybe it's a slight difference. Maybe it's a big difference. We note the difference. We don't need to make it look or feel the same. Each side might need something different. Next time you rock forward, pause with the rocking. Walk your hands forward. Let your head come down between your arms. Walk your hands over to the right. Give that little push into your hands. Right heel going an inch or two, right hip going an inch or two towards right heel. And slowly walk your hands back towards center. And then back in closer under your shoulders. Sweep that foot back behind. Bring that knee down. And again, let's take 3 or 4 cow and cat breaths. Bring your big toes to touch. Open your knees wider if you like and sit back to child's pose. Sit back towards your heels. You could walk your hands forward and let your head come down to the floor. Now, if your head doesn't reach the floor, we have options here. We want your head to be supported so your neck can disengage. You might stack your hands and rest your forehead on your hands. You might put a yoga block or a pillow or folded blanket under your forehead, even a rolled up yoga mat if you got an extra mat. And if it doesn't feel good in your shoulders to keep reaching your arms forward, you might reach your hands back by your feet Let your shoulders be passive. Notice what your breath does. Expansion in the upper body when you breathe in. And feel for settling back and down in your hips when you breathe out. If you're reaching your hands back by your feet, reach them forward again. Inhaling, come back up to table, squared off on hands and knees. Step your right foot up between your hands. It's okay if it takes more than one step, and having blocks under your hands can ease that transition. Bring your hands to your knee or thigh. You come up standing on one foot and one knee. And we can check in on alignment. You want to feel steadiness here before we continue on. So if you feel unsteady, sometimes widening the stance so there's more room between where the foot is and where the knee is. If the front knee is above the front ankle and the back hip is above the back knee, that helps. Back leg straight behind the knee and not off to one side. Exhale, sink forward in your hips. Inhale, glide back. The movement can be as small or big as you want. If there's room for a big movement, you might even want to scoot your foot forward to give you more room to rock there. And we can bring an arm movement in there. You can always keep one hand, hands on your knee for steadiness. You can play with exhale, bring your arms down, and inhale, reach up again. So anytime you can change your mind, bring that hand back to your leg, but maybe you're steady enough to move both arms. So we're rocking the hips. We're also doing some core engagement here, depending on what you're doing with your arms. Some degree of core engagement to keep the torso upright in the movement. From the top of the movement, reach your right hand forward and your left hand back. If that's too unsteady, right hand can come back to the leg anytime. Come back through center, hands up or hands at heart, and twist the other way. Reach your left hand forward, right hand back. Left hand can always come to the leg to steady yourself. Come back through center. Bring your hands down to the floor to frame that right foot. And we switch sides now. Step your right knee back down on the ground and step your left foot forward. Bring your hands to your leg. Press up into your stance. Check your alignment. Feel for steadiness in your foundation here. When you're steady, you can exhale, rock forward. Inhale, glide back. When and if you like, add in the arm movements. Bringing the arms down as you rock forward. Raising them as you rock back. Exhaling and inhaling. Smooth, continuous movements. Smooth, continuous breathing. And from the top of our movement, let's do those twists. First to the right. Taking 2 or 3 nice deep breaths in the twist. Come back through center and twist to the left. Come back through center. Rest your hands on the floor and step your right foot up to meet your left so you come to forward fold. Knees nice and soft. Bend and straighten your legs to whatever degree you want. Sway back and forth. Let your arms and your head be heavy, hanging. Maybe they're hanging in the air. Maybe your fingertips dragging on the ground. Maybe there are blocks there between your hands and the ground. You might also clasp your elbows in your hands or interlace your fingers at the base of your skull and let the weight of your arms give you some traction for your neck. If your hands are doing something else, let them hang down again. Nice and gently, shake your head no. And nod your head yes. Inhale to lift up halfway, hands to the front of your legs. Push into your hands. Help the crown of your head move forward away from your tailbone, your spine lengthening out parallel to the ground. Exhale, relax down into your fold. Inhale, roll up to standing. Bring your hands over your head. Exhaling, bring your hands to your heart. Let your hands hang at your sides. Lift your left shoulder up towards your ear. Slide it back and let it down. And then your right shoulder up and back and down. Your shoulders always ride at different heights, so it's beneficial to adjust them one at a time. Often we do shrugs and move them at the same time. That's fine too. It's different. Inhale, reach out to the sides. Exhale, reach for your shoulder blades and hug yourself, or if you like, you can take eagle arms, twine your arms together and press your palms together. If you're doing eagle, you can then move your elbows and your hands up and forward, away from your chest, away from your face. On an inhale, spread your wings. As you exhale, cross your arms the other way. Hug your shoulder blades or take eagle. Take some nice deep breaths into the big space between the shoulder blades, the back of your heart space. Inhaling, open up. Exhale, let your arms come down. Inhale your arms up overhead. Interlace your fingers. Flip your palms up towards the ceiling. And look up at your hands. Lift up your heart. With an inhale, bring yourself upright. Exhale, bend to the right. Feel full length through both arms. Try to keep your left heel grounded and your left shoulder back in line with your ear. Sometimes that shoulder wants to come forward, and then we're not stretching the side body as much. Inhale to come up through center. As you exhale, bend to the left, keeping right shoulder back and right heel grounded. Inhale, come up. Exhale, let your arms come down. Inhale your arms up overhead. Exhale to fold forward. Inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale to fold. Plant your hands. Let's step back to a plank. Really find your plank shape for at least a breath or two. When you're ready, exhaling, slowly lower all the way down. Challenge yourself, see how slow you can go. Come all the way down on your belly, rest your chin, untuck your toes. And now we're going to make use of the floor. We're going to treat the floor like a big prop to help us open our shoulders and explore some funky twisting things here. Reach your arms out to the sides, palms on the ground. And grabbing the floor with your left hand, depending on what your floor is, you might picture Velcro or a suction cup. Walk your right hand in towards you and press away from the floor. So you rock onto your left hip, and you're really opening the front of your left shoulder here by pressing it against the floor. Right leg stacked on top of left leg. Now that might be plenty to do. You might just stay right there. If you want to explore further, you might lift your right leg away from your left, like opening a pair of scissors. You might let that heel drift back. If that feels okay and you want to go further, bend that knee and then just see what happens. Let the weight of your leg hang so your foot may drift towards the floor. Don't push it towards the floor. Let the weight of the leg just hang. See what breath and gravity accomplish here. You might surprise yourself and have your foot touch down, or maybe it hangs in the air. Your hip will find the degree of opening that it needs. If you want to go even further, you can pick your right hand up, reach for the sky, do a little rotating in the shoulder socket, or some like to turn the palm back and fold the arm to the low back. Each extension adds a little more pressure on the front of the left shoulder. There's a lot going on here, but we're moving slowly, gently, mindfully listening to our bodies. You can extend the arm without extending the leg, or extend the leg without extending the arm. You can do both, or you can skip both. Now, presuming you've done both, to come out, you want to first get that hand back on the ground to steady yourself. And really take your time. Lift the right foot and straighten the leg. And then let that leg down to rest on top of the other leg again. Close the scissors. Walk that right hand back out to the side. So you come back on your belly. You can rest your chin or rest on one cheek for a couple breaths. Notice the difference between the shoulders. Can you feel what you've just done for your left shoulder? When you're ready, we'll do the other side. So grabbing that floor with the right hand, walk your left hand in towards you, come up onto your right hip, pressing right shoulder to the ground. If you like, lift your left leg away from your right leg. Maybe let the heel drift back. Maybe bend your knee and just let that leg go where it will go. And maybe you lift your left arm up, explore rotating your arm in the shoulder socket, or folding your arm to your low back. You may or may not get those snap, crackle, pops. I'm never sure if that stuff's coming through the microphone or not. The chiropractic sound effects are not required. And don't worry, none of that hurt. I didn't break anything. My joints just make a lot of noise. Feel what your breath does in this funny shape. Where do you feel those deep breaths in this posture? When you're ready to come out, same thing. We're going to rewind slowly. If you moved your left hand, bring it back in front of your face and ground into it for stability. And if you've moved that left leg slowly, raise your foot, straighten the leg, let it lower down. Then take your time to walk your left hand back out to the side, come back onto your belly, and rest on your chin or on one cheek. Bring your hands down by your hips, still palms down. And we'll do a nice heart opener here now. Lift your chin, lift your feet, lift your hands, lift your knees, maybe lift your chest, and keep breathing. Keep your spine long so you're still looking down at the floor, but you're looking a little further in front of where your head is. Picture that spine, nice smooth curve. So we don't want to crank the neck back like that or have the chin tucked like this. We want a smooth line like that, remembering that the neck is just the top of the spine. It's not separate. With an exhale, slowly come down. How slow can you go? Rest on your chin or on one cheek if you like. If you're resting on your cheek, it's nice to alternate one side to the other. And do one more thing down here with our bellies on the ground. So maybe rest on the next cheek after that. Now with your hands by your hips, head at center, bend your knees like you're reaching your heels towards your butt. And most of us like to do one side at a time. You're going to reach back to grab your ankles or heels, or maybe just your pant leg, whatever you can grab. You can also do this with a strap in the hands and coming across the front of the ankles or the top of the foot. And then a very similar movement. Inhaling, lift your chin, maybe lift your knees, lift your chest, kick against your hands. And you feel those big breaths inflating the belly and rocking you back and forth. Long spine, nice curve of the neck, not bent forward or hunched back, compressing the back of the neck. Keeping the grip, slowly relax the legs, let your chest and your chin down, and then release your grip on your feet or legs. Rest your hands, feet still pointing up, let your feet wobble back and forth. And then let your feet down. Take a couple breaths, maybe turn to one cheek. Come back to center. Bring your hands in under your shoulders. Press into your hands, inhale, lift your head and chest to cobra at any height you want, or upward dog if you like. We've done a lot of heart opening, but listen to your low back. If it's not ready for an up dog, don't do an up dog. And just once, because it's gentle class, we'll go to down dog. Maybe you even pass through table on the way there. And take your time, make your way to downward facing dog. As you're ready, give that dog a little walk, pedal those feet up and down for just a few breaths. Nod your head and shake your head. Take 3 cleansing breaths. Let your knees come down. We'll play with one more heart opening move here. I'm going to see about playing with camel pose. So curl your toes under, walk your hands in towards your knees. Now, full expression of camel pose is sitting back, but you might not be able to sit back like all the way on your heels, and that's fine. You might put a block or a bolster between your butt and your heels. You might stand blocks back here for your hands. Another option is to disengage the feet, let the tops of the feet be on the floor. You can bring your hands to your heels or ankles or blocks, or even just to the lower back. Then you're going to lift your gaze and lift your heart. So I'm doing the supported version with my hands up, my low back, my fingers pointing up. So that's what works for me. I can't reach my ankles or heels like this, even if I engage my feet. But it's a heart opening pose, so this is a good approximation. Having the hands at the low back is real nice support for the lumbar part of your back. Slowly bring yourself upright. And let your hands come down. We're going to make our way to a seat. However, you might want to do that. You might cross your ankles and walk your hands in and rock to a seat, or you might tip to one side and spin your legs around. You can extend your legs out in front of you and flex your feet back towards you. Here, I'll give you this view instead, better angle for what I'm doing. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. As you exhale, fold down over your legs. If your knees need to bend, just let them bend. Explore what your breath might do here to deepen the fold. As you inhale, feel for the crown of your head reaching forward. As you exhale, think of lowering some more. Resist grabbing your feet or your legs and using your arms to yank yourself down further. That's why I'm resting my hands just open like this to remind me not to do that. Hands might rest on legs or feet or even on the floor. Inhaling, slowly walk your hands up the front of your legs. Let your arms help you sit up. Now let your arms help your legs open out to whatever degree they can. The edge of your comfort zone. Maybe your legs go further than mine. Mine used to not go nearly this far. And walk your hands down the front of your legs to wherever you can. Maybe it's your shins, maybe it's your ankles, maybe it's your feet. It definitely wasn't my feet the first time I tried this. Explore some twisting and some arm extension. Slowly bring your right hand over next to your left hand. And then slowly open your left arm out to the side. Turn your head to follow your hand. And if you want, you might rotate your palm back, thumb down, and bring the back of your hand to your low back. Feel that left shoulder back. If you've taken the bind, extend your arm again. Rotate the palm forward. Slowly bring that left hand back over by the right hand. Take a couple breaths. Take your time to bring your right hand back over to your right leg or right foot. And we'll do it all again. Take your time. Bring your left hand over by your right. Take a couple breaths. And slowly open your right arm out to the side. Turn your head to follow your hand. If you like, rotate your arm, bring it to your low back, peel the right shoulder back. So your right hand might be at your sacrum, it might be more by your left hip. Whatever degree of bend and bind feels beneficial to you. Slowly extend your arm, rotate palm forward, and bring that hand back over by the left hand. Bring your left hand back over to your left foot or left leg, and walk your hands up the front of those legs. Now let your arms help your legs. Nudge your legs towards each other. Bring the soles of your feet together a good distance away from you. So big space between heels and pelvis. I'm scooting my butt back to make that space bigger without my feet moving off camera. Slide your hands under your ankles and grab the floor if you can. If you can't, just bring your hands over your ankles and grab the floor. Walk your hands forward, using traction in the arms to come into this pretzel-shaped fold, and let your neck disengage, let your head drop towards the ground. Breathe into your lower back. Slowly scoot your hands back, press up to a seat. Now keeping the soles of your feet together, now you want to bring them in close. Bring your heels in as close to your pelvis as you can. Interlace your fingers, grab the tops of your toes, and wriggle on your seat. Bring the bones in your seat closer to the floor. This tilts the pelvis forward, gives the lower spine more room to lengthen downward. Inhale, lengthen up through the crown of your head. Exhaling, hinge at the hips, fold forward with your spine nice and long at first. See how far down you can go with the spine long. Maybe your elbows press to the inside of your legs and nudge your hips open. When the long spine stops lowering, let your neck go. Let your head drop down and breathe into your hips. Inhale, slowly sit yourself up. Like we did at the start of practice, let your arms help your legs. Bring your hands under your knees and nudge your knees towards each other. Rest your feet on the floor. And then you can rest your hands on the floor out here past your hips. Wiggle your feet further apart. If you're on a yoga mat, it might be by the edges of the mat. And let your knees kind of dance back and forth. It's okay if they don't touch the ground like this. Maybe as your knees go to one side, turn your head to the other. That might feel good. Then bring your feet in closer. Two hands between the tops of the feet. Sets your ankles about the same distance apart as your hip sockets. If you have a yoga block, a block on the middle position is about the same width. And with your feet there, you can scoot towards your heels, come onto your forearms and onto your back. If it's easier to come onto your back and then bring your heels in closer, you want your heels to end up as close to your butt as they can. If you're using blocks, you might put a block between your knees on that same middle position. So now your ankles and your knees are hip width apart. Whether you use a block or not, as we start to move up and down in bridge pose, you can think of your knees reaching forward towards your toes when you go up, reaching back towards your hips as you come down. So press into the soles of your feet. Inhale, lift your hips, come into our first bridge pose. We'll take some breaths at the top. If you want to go further and open your heart some more, you might wiggle your shoulder blades towards each other and clasp your hands under you and reach your knuckles towards your heels. You don't have to do any of that. Whether you're doing this or not, make sure your neck is relaxed. Sometimes we scrunch our neck up here. It doesn't help anything. It's just something we do as we wriggle into that posture. Nicely grounded in the back of the head and the shoulder blades. If you're clasping your hands, release them. Exhaling slowly, let your hips come down. And explore bridge on your own for a minute or so. Inhale to lift your hips. Exhale to lower them. To make it less challenging, you could take extra breaths with your sacrum on the ground. To make it more challenging, you might move more slowly or lift up higher. Take additional breaths at the top of the movement, or even repeat moving your shoulder blades towards each other and clasping your hands. You could also do a supported bridge. You might lift up, put a block under your sacrum, and lower down onto it and just let the block do the work. This can bring about some nice release in your lower back and through your pelvis, just resting on the block, thinking of sending your breath through the block to help your body accept that support. The funny little mind trick. Your body enjoys being on the ground. It feels safe when you put a block between your sacrum and the ground. Instinctively, it's like unsettling. Your body doesn't trust the block, though your brain knows the block's not going anywhere. And let's wrap up these explorations in bridge wherever you're at. You can let the next lowering down be the last one. Pause after you land for a breath or two. At the start of practice, we crossed ankle over knee. Now we'll cross knee over knee, if you can. Cross your left knee over your right knee. And if that doesn't work for you, you could cross your left ankle over your right knee. Reach your arms to the sides. Let your legs fall to the right and turn your head to the left. As with the twist earlier, you want to keep the shoulders grounded. This funny scooting movement I'm doing is because it was too close to this stuff on my right side here. All these decorative props I've got as my background. Come slowly back up to center and then cross your legs the other way. Right knee over left knee or right ankle over left knee. Let your legs go left and turn your head to the right. Slowly come back to center. Uncross your legs. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Hug your knees. Rock and roll on your back. Massage your back against the floor. Reach your feet up towards the ceiling. Reach your hands up to take hold of your legs or your feet. Explore movement in happy baby pose. If there is a different inversion you would prefer, go ahead and invert however you'd like. Lots of different ways to get your feet and your legs higher than your heart, which is what makes it an inversion. This is a gentle and accessible way, but maybe you want to be even more passive, resting your legs on a piece of furniture or on the wall. Maybe you're not looking for more passive and you wanted to do a more challenging inversion. You might play with a shoulder stand or plow or headstand. Maybe not. Sometimes I like to play with going from happy baby to plow by just pushing into my feet and keep pushing back so that the weight of my limbs bring me towards a plow. Maybe not the fullest expression of plow. Just an exploration. You can invert as long as you like and however you like. When you feel complete, make your way to Shavasana, either corpse pose or the resting pose of your choice. Our sort of standard closing posture, which is just one option, is to extend your legs, let your feet splay apart, let your hands rest on the ground outside your hips, palms up or the pinky edge of your hand on the ground. If that's not comfortable, please get comfortable. It's more important to be comfortable than it is to be in this specific posture. You can conclude your practice by finding whatever your comfortable stillness is. Making any adjustments you need to maybe get more comfortable or to refine what comfortable is if it slips away. Comfortable can be a moving target. If it doesn't feel good to lie flat, you might rest the soles of your feet on the ground with your knees leaning in towards each other. You might even bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees splay open, possibly with blocks under them. Come back to where you started practice. Anything you like, anything that's comfortable. Close your eyes if that's comfortable. Focusing on your breathing as a simple meditation, or revisiting an intention you had set at the start of practice. Reflect upon how it worked for you and how you might extend it into the rest of your day, carrying your practice off the yoga mat. Maybe you don't want to focus on anything in particular, just let your mind go where it'll go. And I'll share a bit as we're wont to do in Shavasana on Zoom classes. You're welcome to tune me out. Maybe you already turned your sound off so you can just have your own exploration of Shavasana. We did a lot today that was focused on opening our hearts. And there are physical, mechanical type reasons for this. We're a culture that we're very front body oriented. We tend to ignore the back body. This translates into a lot of hunching forward. Shoulders are rounded forward, and or shoulders are up higher, closer to the ears because of excess tension lodged in the neck and shoulders. Heart opening work can release that excess tension, but also just release things energetically, because our hearts can get closed off in that sense too. It's a turbulent time out there in the world outside of our yoga practice. There are many things that can disturb or anger or worry us or stress us out. By working on opening the physical heart space and opening the energetic heart, we allow ourselves more room for processing these things, for taking care of ourselves and others. Working intentionally to open the heart, to keep the heart open despite all that pushes it towards closing. And we think of the heart, we always think of the chest, we think of the front body. The heart space is three-dimensional. The rib cage under the arms is the sides of the heart space. The shoulder blade region is the back of the heart space. It's got a front, it's got a back, it's got sides, and it's got those areas between what you call the front and the side, between what you call the side and the back. It's great to stretch and open every bit of it. Give our hearts more room. The physical heart and the spiritual heart, the energetic heart. May your expanded, open heart space serve you well in the rest of your day today. Give that heart space some deeper breaths. Take your time to start exploring movement, starting small, maybe wiggling toes and fingers. Let your movements gradually grow bigger. Maybe roll your ankles and your wrists and gently turn your head side to side. Bigger and bigger movements at your pace. When you're ready for bigger movements, there is no rush. You can take your time to make your way mindfully up to a seat. Or you can stay where you are. Sitting up is an option. If you like, bring your hands to your heart, either pressed together or holding your heart. Thank you for gathering and sharing this practice. The light within me sees, honors, and bows to that same light within each of you. Namaste. And again, because I've been asked to repeat these things before and after practice, I'm Leo Bray with Kristen Olson's Urban Yoga Center. Please visit us online to check out the rest of the class schedule. We offer classes every day. We're at urbanyoga.org or Kristen Olson's Urban Yoga Center on Facebook. And there you can see the information for our digital tip jar. And you can make contributions to support the Zoom classes, which end up on YouTube, by the way. Make contributions via Zelle or Venmo or PayPal. And questions and feedback are always welcome. That goes for the folks visiting in real time and the YouTubers later on. Leave comments and help me be a better teacher. Feedback helps me grow. Thank you.